When did you text your boss the secret about your ex and best friend? I'm literally shaking right now, and I don't even know if I should post this, but I have to get it out. My stomach has been in knots since Tuesday at 11:47 a.m., and I've survived solely on Talenti gelato and lukewarm gas station coffee for the last 72 hours. So get this, my best friend, Charlotte Anderson, 32F, is dating my ex-fiancé Greg. I found out because I sent the wrong text message to my micromanager boss, Kimberly Edwards, 52F, who is now probably going to fire me for using 43 hours of emergency PTO this month. I know, it's a lot. Let me back up because past Linda, that's me, Linda Davis, 39F, currently navigating the glorious first steps of my transition journey, was apparently living in a clown car fueled by denial. Whole disaster is happening at Camp Hemlock, which is this ridiculously expensive, woodsy, adult wellness retreat kind of place where I'm working as a seasonal program coordinator. I took the job specifically because I needed the change of scenery, and the money is actually decent enough to cover my half of the $1,247 rent for the apartment 3B I used to share with Greg. Yes, the lease is still a whole other nightmare we have to deal with, but that's a story for another time. I broke up with Greg, 38M, useless human being, 6 weeks ago after 2 years, 8 months together. It wasn't a sudden thing. It was a slow, agonizing realization that he was using me to pay his $347 electric bills and cover his stupid online gambling debts. Final straw was when I found a Zelle receipt showing he'd paid $200 to some random dude named LS 5 times in 1 week, and then told me he couldn't afford to split the $43.67 grocery bill from Trader Joe's. The math wasn't mathing, you know? Anyway, Camp Hemlock was supposed to be my reset button. Fresh air, no Greg, just focusing on my journey and coordinating activities like nature yoga with Gloria. Speaking of Gloria Morris 80F, she's a force of nature. Seriously, she's the camp's resident fitness guru, and she will absolutely bench press you if you look at her wrong. She wears exclusively neon spandex and runs 10 miles before breakfast. She's honestly been the only good part of this experience, constantly offering me unsolicited life advice like, if it doesn't serve you, drop it like a bad squat. I need to remember that. My best friend Charlotte, 32F, came up to Hemlock with me because she was supposed to be my support system. She's usually super competitive, like we can't even play Mario Kart without her flipping the coffee table, but I thought she was finally turning over a new leaf. She took the job as the activities assistant, which meant we were roommates in this tiny, awful cabin with terrible cell service. My iPhone 14 battery is constantly dying, and the Wi-Fi is weaker than Greg's commitment to employment. Charlotte was also friends with Greg, which was fine. They had the same weird taste in microbrews and terrible Netflix dramas. But post-breakup, Charlotte was surprisingly quiet about him. Too quiet, maybe? I kept asking her, has he called you? Is he asking about me? Is he still driving that beat-up 2018 Honda Civic he keeps claiming is vintage? He would just shrug and say, NGL Linda, I blocked him. He's drama, focus on you. I loved that, I believed her. Past me was such an idiot. The last 3 weeks at camp have been fine. We've been planning the big end of summer bonfire bash. Yesterday, Monday, was just brutal. I had 8 Zoom meetings with the corporate office. I swear Kimberly acts like we are performing open heart surgery, not planning a s'mores bar, and my inbox was at 247. Around 5:30 p.m., I finally stepped out for dinner. I was texting Charlotte about the disaster that was my meeting with Kimberly Edwards, 52F, who literally tried to micromanage the font size on the event flyer. I typed out this long, ranting text, explaining that Kimberly was acting like a total psycho and that I felt like I was being watched 24/7, which is true because Kimberly insists everyone wear their Apple Watch so she can track our movement and steps for team building. I know, it's a red flag, but the insurance is amazing. The rant went like this. OMG, Charlotte, Kimberly just pulled me into her office to ask why I used 3 sick days last month. I told her I had food poisoning from that awful Chipotle bowl, but she gave me this creepy smile and said, just remember, Linda, loyalty is observed, not negotiated. She's driving me insane. I just need to get through the next 2 weeks and I can go back to my place and get on my stuff and tell Greg to finally sign the lease release and stop texting me. Can we TLAC? He sent 27 calls in 1 hour, TBH. I swear Greg is such a lying, manipulative POS. I can't believe I wasted 2 years, 8 months on that emotionally stunted adult child. It was a full venting session. I needed the validation. Except I didn't send it to Charlotte Anderson. I was distracted because Gloria Morris 80F, who wears an absolutely blinding neon pink spandex unitard, walked by my cabin at that exact moment and yelled, lower those shoulders, Linda, you carry the stress in your traps. My finger slipped. I sent the whole paragraph, typos and all, straight to Kimberly Edwards, 52F. The moment I saw her picture next to the message, my heart dropped to the floor. My hands started shaking so violently I almost threw my iPhone 14 across the cabin. My vision went blurry and I had that immediate hot ashamed feeling. This was career suicide. I waited. I frantically tried to delete the message, but of course, the camp Wi-Fi was being a jerk and the message status stayed at delivered. Exactly 4 minutes later, I got a response. Kimberly Edwards, 52F, the woman who once critiqued the hydration levels of my water bottle during a quarterly review, texted back one single word, Kimberly 52F, observed. I wanted to throw up. I wanted to crawl into a hole. I knew I was fired. Stress rash I get on my neck when I am anxious immediately flared up. I was thinking about the security deposit Greg and I were fighting over, the $200 I needed to cover the plumber charge next month, everything. I immediately started writing a groveling apology. Kimberly, I'm so sorry, that was meant for my sister. But then my phone chimed again. It was a text from Charlotte 32F. Charlotte, 32F. Hey, where are you? Dinner is ready. Did you hear from Greg again? Just ignore him, babe. BTW, I went to his place this afternoon to grab the vintage Xbox he left here for safekeeping. Apartment 3B is definitely empty now. You're free, come eat. I made that amazing pesto pasta. Use the side door, I locked the front one. I read that text and felt a wave of icy, confused relief. Okay, so Charlotte went to my apartment to get an Xbox. That was a little weird, but maybe she was just being helpful. At least the text confirmed that Greg was finally gone from apartment 3B. Maybe I wasn't fired after all, just severely warned. I walked towards the dining hall, still trying to slow my breathing. I found Charlotte, 32F, waiting at our usual table, smiling. She had a new haircut and was wearing a really cute, slightly expensive new shirt. Definitely not something she bought at Target. Hey, disaster zone, she laughed. You look like you just saw a ghost. Did Kimberly finally snap? Worse, I mumbled, sliding into the bench. I sent her a massive text about Greg and called her a psycho. Charlotte froze mid-chew. No way, oh my god, Linda, what did she say? She just texted observed, I said, mimicking Kimberly's terrifyingly calm tone. Charlotte laughed, a real full belly laugh. That's actually iconic, NGL. It's fine. She's just being Kimberly. She'll get over it, especially if you volunteer to run the morning Power Strides with Gloria tomorrow. Don't even joke, I said, taking a massive bite of the pesto pasta. It was really good. Wait, so why were you at my place today? Did Greg actually let you in? Charlotte immediately went rigid. The competitive friend energy was back, but this time it was mixed with something else, a sort of forced nonchalance. Oh yeah, she said quickly, focusing intensely on the salt shaker. He wasn't there. He just left the key under the mat for me. Under the mat? I raised an eyebrow. Greg literally cannot remember passwords to save his life, much less where he puts his keys. And he usually makes people wait outside for 20 minutes while he texts back. I am serious, wait 1 sec. Yeah, Charlotte said, fiddling with her AirPods case. He said he didn't want any drama, so he just left it. I grabbed the Xbox. Did you know he got an Apple Watch? I saw it on the counter. The nice Series 9 one? I frowned. He did, when? Told me he couldn't afford an Amazon Prime subscription, much less a $400 watch. Must have been recent, Charlotte shrugged, finally making eye contact. Anyway, the pasta's amazing, right? The whole conversation felt weird. The math wasn't mathing again. I spent the rest of the evening trying to forget about my impending unemployment and instead scrolling through TikTok, completely distracted by some stupid viral dance. Around 10:30 p.m., I finally went back to my cabin. Charlotte was already asleep, which was weird for her because she usually stays up until 2 a.m. watching Hulu and eating Ben & Jerry's. I couldn't sleep. The stress eating was kicking in, and I knew I needed to cry a bit, so I grabbed my keys, put on my Sad Girl Hours playlist, lots of Olivia Rodrigo and Adele, and drove my Toyota Corolla to the closest 24-hour convenience store for emergency snacks. I was sitting in my car in the extremely dark parking lot, midway through a pint of Chunky Monkey, when the real thought hit me. Why did Greg leave the key under the mat for Charlotte to pick up his Xbox? They weren't that close. They were mutual friends, but not leave keys under the mat close. Suddenly, I remembered the text, the one I sent to Kimberly, the one I thought I sent to Charlotte. I had texted Charlotte right after, but I realized I hadn't actually reread her response to see if she acknowledged the Greg part. I pulled up our chat history. My text, OMG, Charlotte, Kimberly just pulled me into her office to ask why I used 3 sick days last month. I told her I had food poisoning from that awful Chipotle bowl, but she gave me this creepy smile and said, just remember, Linda, loyalty is observed, not negotiated. She's driving me insane. I just need to get through the next 2 weeks and I can go back to my place and get on my stuff and tell Greg to finally sign the lease release and stop texting me. Can we TLAC? He sent 27 calls in 1 hour, TBH. I swear, Greg is such a lying, manipulative POS. I can't believe I wasted 2 years, 8 months on that emotionally stunted adult child. Wait a second. I never sent that text to Charlotte. I sent it to Kimberly, which meant Charlotte never saw that long, angry rant about Greg being a lying POS. So why did she reply a few minutes later with, hey, where are you? Dinner is ready. Did you hear from Greg again? Just ignore him, babe. BTW, I went to his place this afternoon to grab the vintage Xbox he left here for safekeeping. Apartment 3B is definitely empty now. You're free, come eat. I made that amazing pesto pasta. Use the side door, I locked the front one. It was a distraction, a performance. The moment the realization hit me, I didn't cry. I felt cold, like the blood had frozen in my veins. She hadn't been blocking him. She had been covering for him. And then I remembered something else. Something small and mundane, but now terrifying. When I was typing the long text to Kimberly/Charlotte, my phone had been giving me those annoying low storage notifications. I need to delete those old vacation videos, I know. And I finally unlocked my phone to apologize to Kimberly. I saw I had 47 notifications waiting. One of them was a very faint Zelle notification. It showed a transaction from my bank. I went back to my Zelle history immediately, sitting in the dark car, spoon halfway to my mouth, Chunky Monkey dripping down my chin. I scrolled past the $200 payments to LS and the $85 plumber charges. And then I saw it. Tuesday at 11:47 a.m., the exact time I thought I was sending that rant to Charlotte. There was a Zelle payment for $50. The recipient was Charlotte Anderson, and the memo line, I had to squint at the cracked screen of my phone to read the whole thing, but it was there, staring at me in the face. Memo, lunch and that thing you forgot at the apartment. See you soon. The math suddenly clicked. Charlotte went to my apartment 3B today. She didn't get the key under the mat. She had the key already because she was there earlier. She was covering for Greg because she was already spending time with Greg. I was shaking again, but not from fear of Kimberly. This was pure, unadulterated rage. I opened Charlotte's text thread again. I needed proof. I needed to see what she was saying to Greg or what he was saying to her. I knew the terrible Wi-Fi at Camp Hemlock would prevent me from pulling up her iCloud backups, but I needed something immediate. Then I saw the text thread above the one we were using for camp logistics. the one I usually ignore because it's just group chat nonsense. But this wasn't the group chat. It was a thread between Charlotte, 32F, and an unsaved number. I always thought she used an Android for her side hustle, so I never questioned it. I clicked on it by accident, trying to find her primary number. And there it was, a full conversation history, dating back 4 weeks to weeks after my breakup with Greg. The texts were filled with pet names Greg used to use for me, stupid things like baby cakes and my little chaos agent. The last exchange was timestamped just before she told me she was going to bed. Unsaved number 10:21 p.m., gonna crash early. Kimberly almost killed Elle today, lol. Don't call, she's asleep in the same room. I'm counting down the days until we can stop hiding this. Did you leave the door unlocked? Charlotte, 32F, 10:23 p.m. No, dummy, I changed the gate code and deadbolted it. You know I'm competitive, Greg, I'm not leaving any trace. You think I want Elle to call us out in front of Gloria? And GL, she would actually kill us. See you Saturday, baby cakes. I wasn't even shocked anymore. I was numb. My best friend, Charlotte, and my ex-fiancé, Greg, had been secretly dating for weeks, and they were using the apartment I still paid rent on. But the final line of that conversation, the detail that made my stomach drop harder than any fear of Kimberly or financial ruin. Unsaved number 10:26 p.m. BTW, tell Gloria I appreciate the protein shake recipe. My little chaos agent is surprisingly good at blending. Wait, what? Greg was communicating with Gloria Morris, ADF, the fitness obsessive octogenarian who runs the camp, and she was making him protein shakes. I put the spoon down. I was rage-fueled and ready to drive straight back to Camp Hemlock and scream until my lungs collapsed. Charlotte thought she was being competitive and hiding the trace. Greg thought he was being smooth. And Gloria, she was in the mix somehow. I drove back to Camp Hemlock like a maniac, tires squealing in the gravel parking lot. I didn't care if Kimberly saw me on her Apple Watch tracking app. I went straight to the cabin and stood over Charlotte's bed. The light from the moon made her face look pale and guilty, even though she was supposedly asleep. I took a deep breath, fighting the urge to throw the bottle of Chunky Monkey at her head. I opened the text thread with the unsaved number again. I wanted to be absolutely sure. I needed to call them out. I had to face her. I reached down and snatched the Samsung Galaxy phone off her bedside table. It was charging, battery at 98%. I saw the notifications pop up immediately. A new text from the unsaved number. I opened the text. Unsaved number 1:58 a.m. You forgot your AirPods when you snuck out earlier, CA. Don't worry, I hid them behind the Costco box of protein powder at the camp gym, where Gloria won't look. See you in the morning, love. Charlotte's eyes flew open. It looked directly at me, and I realized the unsaved number wasn't Greg. The sender ID on the text exchange I had just read was not Greg's phone. It was too late at night for a text from him, and he never used that particular nickname. And the text I had just received at 1:58 a.m. mentioned the Costco box of protein powder at the camp gym. The only person who lives at the camp gym and uses Costco brand protein powder is Linda. Give me my phone back, Charlotte hissed, sitting up, her face pale. I didn't move. I looked down at the unsaved number. I clicked on the profile picture for the contact, which was a grainy photo of a very tanned arm flexing a bicep. I finally looked at Charlotte, holding her phone, the realization hitting me like a speeding train. The math wasn't mathing with Greg, I whispered, the rage turning into strange, twisted confusion. But it's totally mathing with Gloria. I pointed the Samsung Galaxy phone at her face, showing her the text message on the screen. Charlotte, I said, barely keeping my voice from shaking. Is the person you're hiding not Greg? Is it? She launched herself off the bed, trying to grab the phone. I held it high. The screen glowed, illuminating the profile photo of the aggressively toned arm. Is the person you're dating? I finished, the words burning in my throat. 80-year-old Gloria Morris, the fitness instructor? Charlotte froze. Her eyes darted from the phone to my face. She didn't deny it. But the conversation on the phone was still open. And just as I was about to demand an explanation, a new text message popped up on the screen, this time from the number I had previously seen, the one I thought was Greg. Unsaved number 1:59 a.m. Seriously, why is your side of the cabin so loud? Get off the phone. You're overreacting about this text from expletive deleted. We need to talk about Saturday. And the number listed above that message was Greg's number. It even had a stupid emoji next to it. The screen of Charlotte's phone was now showing 2 separate, ongoing text message threads. One with Greg, one with Gloria Morris, and both threads were talking about her. I looked at Charlotte. I looked at the phone. And I felt the world tilt completely sideways because I realized Charlotte wasn't just dating my ex. She was dating my ex and someone else at camp, and they were both keeping secrets for her. I swallowed hard, the taste of Chunky Monkey and betrayal like ash in my mouth. Charlotte, I finally managed, my voice strained. Who are you seeing on Saturday? And who the hell is expletive deleted? The phone in my hand chimed again. Unsaved number 2:01 a.m. Tell Linda I have her old Starbucks gold card and she can come get it whenever she wants. Oh, and I want my Xbox back, CA. Serious? It was Greg. The unsaved number was Greg. I looked at the phone again. Wait, the text from 1:58 a.m. about the AirPods in the Costco protein powder box. That was from a different unsaved number. The one with the profile picture of the bicep. I scrolled through the history of that bicep photo number again. It was full of gym instructions and weird nicknames. I finally scrolled to the very top. The contact name for the bicep photo number was not unsaved number. It was saved. It was saved as KIMBRLY do not text my boss. Kimberly Edwards, 52F. My micromanager, micromanaging my best friend. My best friend Charlotte, 32F, was dating my ex Greg, and my boss Kimberly Edwards, 52F, and somehow they were both communicating with Gloria Morris, 80F, about protein powder, and I had just texted my rant about Greg being a lying POS to Kimberly, and she replied observed. And now I was holding Charlotte's phone, which contained the proof that she was cheating on both of them, and one of those people was my boss. I looked at Charlotte, my head spinning. Linda, this is not what it looks like, Charlotte pleaded, stepping toward me. I gripped the phone tightly, my knuckles white. It looks, I said, my voice dangerously calm, like I need to call all 4 of you out right now, starting with Kimberly. I started scrolling to call history and Charlotte lunged. She hit the edge of the bed frame and the lights in the cabin flickered and went out, plunging us into total darkness. The phone clattered out of my hand and slid somewhere across the wooden floor. I heard Charlotte scrambling on the ground, breathing heavily. I need that phone, Linda. Don't you dare call her, Charlotte whispered frantically in the pitch black. I knew I was in trouble. I knew if she got that phone, I would lose all the proof and I would be fired and I would still have no answers. I was done, just done. I had to call them all out. I dropped to my knees, blindly feeling around for the Samsung Galaxy, my hands running over splintered wood and cold dust. And from the darkness just outside the cabin door, I heard a loud, firm knock. Linda, Charlotte, is everything all right in there? A deep, calm voice full of authority and a slight, suspicious edge. Oh fuck, it was Kimberly Edwards, and I still didn't have the phone. I froze, heart absolutely pounding, listening to Charlotte hold her breath somewhere in the darkness across the room. I could feel the cold hardwood under my fingers, but not the smooth glass of the Samsung. I could hear the faint sound of footsteps coming closer to the door. This was going to be an explosive disaster. I didn't know who was dating who was cheating on whom, or why my micromanager boss was involved in my ex's protein powder drama. But I knew I was about to call her out. I just needed to find the damn phone first. I felt a strong, muscular hand clamp down on my wrist in the darkness. It wasn't Charlotte's hand. It was too firm, too big. Looking for this. Low, gravelly voice whispered right into my ear. I didn't scream. I just stopped breathing. The door creaked open, letting in a blinding shaft of moonlight. Standing in the doorway, holding the Samsung Galaxy phone, wearing only neon pink spandex shorts and a tight sports bra was Gloria Morris, ADF. You forgot rule number 1, Linda, Gloria stated calmly, holding the phone away from my reach. Loyalty is observed, not negotiated, and I observed everything. In part 1, I am literally still not okay. I feel like I aged about 10 years in that one night. Sorry for the delay updating. I've been dealing with logistical nightmares that are worse than coordinating a 400-person s'mores bar. Okay, so I am frozen, right? In the dark cabin, hands on the dusty floor, and there's Kimberly Edwards, my psychotic boss, outside the door. And inside, standing in a beam of moonlight, is Gloria Morris, the 80-year-old fitness guru, holding Charlotte's phone like it's a championship trophy. You forgot rule number 1, Linda, Gloria stated, and I swear her voice was completely steady, like she was lecturing me about proper deadlift form, not confronting me about a cheating triangle involving my boss and my ex-fiancé. Loyalty is observed, not negotiated, and I observed everything. Charlotte was still scrambling near the foot of the bed. Gloria, give Linda the phone. This is between me and her. Gloria didn't even look at Charlotte. She was focused on me. Kimberly is tracking my movement, Linda. She tracks everyone's movement. That's how she operates, TBH. She saw my Apple Watch data show I ran a 10K at midnight, but I'm standing still outside your cabin, and she knows that I am currently not running. She's suspicious of stillness. It interrupts the efficiency metric. I stood up slowly, trying to regulate my breathing. The stress rash on my neck was definitely screaming. And you're right here because, I finally managed, rubbing my wrist where her grip had been. It was like granite. I am here because Charlotte called me in distress earlier, Gloria explained, nodding toward Charlotte. She realized her behavior was suboptimal. I came to stabilize the environment. Suboptimal? Charlotte hissed. You told me to lie on the bed and pretend to sleep. I told you to conserve energy, Gloria corrected smoothly. I did not instruct you to be dishonest with Linda. Dishonesty burns too many calories and leads to inefficient decision-making. The door outside rattled again, much louder this time. Charlotte, Linda, I saw the light flicker off. Are you experiencing a power outage? I am entering now to ensure operational continuity. It was Kimberly. I swear, she sounds like a robot even when she's worried. We all froze. Last thing I needed was Kimberly walking in on this neon spandex intervention. Gloria, I whispered fiercely. What exactly did you observe? Gloria tilted the Samsung phone, so the moonlight reflected off the screen. I observed that Charlotte is operating at 30% capacity due to relationship distraction. She's dating Greg, and she's dating Kimberly, and she's attempting to manage both through compartmentalization, which is a faulty psychological mechanism. Creates unnecessary emotional debt. Wait, I cut her off. My head was spinning again. She's dating Greg and Kimberly. Charlotte finally spoke up, pulling herself up to stand, her arms crossed. It's complicated, Linda. It's not like they know about each other. Oh, they know, Gloria said, shaking her head. They just think I don't know. I stared at Gloria. Kimberly knows Charlotte is dating Greg. Greg knows Charlotte is dating Kimberly. Not exactly, Gloria clarified. Kimberly believes she is in an exclusive, intense, work-related, boundary-violating relationship with Charlotte. Greg believes he is in a private, sexy, apartment 3B violating relationship with Charlotte. Charlotte believes she is optimizing her dating resources, and I believe I need a protein shake. This was insane. My ex was fighting for apartment 3B while secretly dating my best friend, who was also dating my boss, who was tracking my steps. Text messages, Linda, Gloria instructed, scrolling through the phone effortlessly with one thumb. The one you saw earlier, the one from Kimberly about the Costco protein powder and the AirPods. She held up the phone, the text read, KIMBRLY do not text. Kimberly often hides gifts for Charlotte in the camp gym, hoping I won't see them, Gloria explained, sounding bored. She thinks that because I am 80, I have limited peripheral vision. She is wrong. I saw the Series 9 Apple Watch she bought Greg for his birthday, by the way. She purchased it using Charlotte's employee discount. I almost choked. Kimberly bought Greg an Apple Watch? Yes, Gloria confirmed. Greg and Charlotte ran into Kimberly at the mall a few weeks ago. Charlotte told Kimberly that Greg was her sad, recently transitioning ex who needed emotional support and also tech. Kimberly, being competitive with everything, decided to gift Greg the watch to demonstrate her financial superiority. It was an extremely inefficient use of capital, NGL. Wait, so Greg isn't using me for cash, I muttered. He's using Charlotte and Kimberly. Bingo, Charlotte said, taking a step toward me. Look, Linda, I know this looks bad, but Greg is a massive dumpster fire, you know that. I was just trying to leverage him to finally get you off the lease. He was dragging his feet, and the only way to get him to sign the release form was to promise him some favors, and the vintage Xbox. And what about Kimberly? My voice was cold. Was she also a leverage point for my lease? Charlotte sighed, running a hand through her newly cut hair. Kimberly is stability. She offered me the full-time program manager position next season. Greg is drama, but Kimberly is a career path. I was playing the field, Linda, trying to win. Win what, Charlotte? Gold medal and betrayal? Before she could answer, the door flew open with a bang, and Kimberly stood there, illuminated by the harsh light of the floodlights outside. She was wearing a completely dry-cleaned, wrinkle-free charcoal gray tracksuit. Her expression was pure, unadulterated suspicion. What is the meaning of this, ladies? Kimberly demanded, her eyes immediately zeroing in on Gloria, who was holding the phone. Gloria, why are you out of bed? You need 8 hours of restorative sleep to maintain your muscle mass. Observing, Gloria replied calmly, without breaking eye contact. She handed the Samsung to Kimberly. You need to observe this, Kimberly. Your loyalty has been distributed inefficiently. Kimberly took the phone. The moment her eyes scanned the screen, moving between the texts from Greg, the cheating ex, and the aggressive profile picture, her own, with Charlotte, her face went from clinical suspicion to pure, furious red. Charlotte, Kimberly hissed, the sound like dry ice. What is the meaning of I changed the gate code and deadbolted it? You know I'm competitive, Greg. I'm not leaving any trace. Charlotte looked terrified. Kimberly, I can explain. It was just a joke. I was mocking Linda's breakup drama. We were role-playing. I stared at her. Role-playing? That was the best she could come up with. Kimberly wasn't buying it. She scrolled further, seeing the pet names, the casual arrangements, and the proof that Charlotte was coordinating dates with Greg while promising Kimberly exclusivity. You called me an emotionally stunted adult child, Linda. Kimberly suddenly rounded on me, ignoring Charlotte entirely. You sent that text to me. Yes, I admitted immediately. I wasn't going to lie anymore. I did, but I meant it for Charlotte, about Greg. It appears, Kimberly said, looking back down at the phone, then slowly raising her gaze to Charlotte, that the description applies to everyone in this room except perhaps Gloria. Charlotte, you have shown zero loyalty to me, to the corporate mission, or to my personal emotional investment. Loyalty is observed, not negotiated. Kimberly looked over at me, and I braced myself for the termination papers. Linda Davis, she said, her voice dropping an octave. You are correct about Greg being a lying POS. He has proven to be an inefficient investment. However, you violated our communication protocol and used company resources to send libelous remarks, even if they were accurate. I should fire you. I swallowed hard. I know, I accept whatever consequence you, but I won't, Kimberly interrupted. Not yet. I need you here for the bonfire bash, and frankly, I need someone I know is not sleeping with my ex-fiancé or my best friend. Charlotte, you are relieved of all duties effective immediately. Pack your bags, your employee discount privileges are revoked. I will zell you $150 for your half of the rent in the cabin. Consider it severance. Charlotte looked like she'd been slapped. You can't do that. I was promised the program manager job. Loyalty, Kimberly repeated, gesturing vaguely toward the door. Now leave. I need to consult with Gloria on how to efficiently manage betrayal. Charlotte looked at me one last time, a pathetic look of sheer defeat. She grabbed her bag and stormed out, slamming the door. The sound echoed across the silent camp. So there I was, not fired. My best friend was fired. My boss was brokenhearted in her extremely rigid corporate way, and Gloria was mediating. So 2 days later, I have survived 2 full days of Camp Hemlock drama. Charlotte is gone. She left a note on the table that just said, I'll pay my share of the rent for 3B NGL. Sorry, which is great, but it doesn't solve the lease problem. Kimberly is walking around Camp Hemlock wearing large dark sunglasses indoors and only communicating through passive-aggressive email chains. Example, I sent an email asking about the budget for the bonfire bash appetizers, and she replied, observe the existing budget parameters, Linda. Do not require emotional handholding for simple operational tasks. P.S. Did you know that some people pretend to be loyal until they find a better opportunity? It's a sad reality of modern resource allocation. I'm basically running the entire camp and getting paid the same, but TBH, I am thriving on the unexpected job security and the chaos. The biggest surprise, Gloria. Gloria has become my unexpected, 80-year-old fitness Yoda. This morning at 5:00 a.m., I woke up to a loud bang outside my cabin. I stumbled out of bed, thinking it was a raccoon, and saw Gloria standing there, already running in place, wearing neon green compression socks. Linda, she said, without slowing her pace. We need to discuss efficiency metrics regarding your relationship with Greg. Come, we will power walk and process simultaneously. Linda Davis, 39F, who usually considers walking to the fridge a workout, found myself doing a 5-mile power walk with an octogenarian at dawn. She forced me to talk about Greg. You said he was a lying, manipulative POS, Gloria summarized, easily bounding up a steep incline while I gasped for air. But you kept him in your life for 2 years and 8 months. That is a significant time investment with no return. Why did you allow this inefficiency? I told her about the emotional manipulation, the feeling of obligation, the fear of starting over during my transition. Gloria listened patiently, occasionally correcting my posture. Linda, your commitment to your personal journey should be your primary focus. Greg was an anchor, not an accelerator. And the lease, that is the final piece of inefficiency we must address. We power walked right up to the administrative office. The key is leverage, Gloria stated, opening the door. Greg is desperate to look successful and avoid conflict. He thinks Charlotte was doing him a favor. He thinks Kimberly was doing him a favor. He is obsessed with his image. We leverage that. How? I whispered, wiping sweat from my eyes. We call him out publicly, she said simply. Not on the internet that is volatile and hard to control. We call him out where his ego will be bruised most efficiently. Fast forward to Friday, 4:00 p.m., the bonfire bash. Spent all day setting up the s'mores bar, trying to avoid Kimberly, who was drinking organic green juice and staring intensely at the lake, probably calculating the ROI of human relationships. I had texted Greg earlier that afternoon, using a generic need to discuss 3B logistics text. He immediately replied, "I'm serious, talk now?" I told him to meet me at the fire pit at 5:30 p.m. sharp. I didn't mention Charlotte, Kimberly, or Gloria. I was shaking again, but this time it felt different. It was the adrenaline rush of finally setting a boundary, of facing the monster, not the fear of being fired. At 5:28 p.m., Greg showed up. He looked pale, wearing a shirt that was definitely too tight. He was fiddling with his new Series 9 Apple Watch, which was probably vibrating with texts from Kimberly and Charlotte trying to figure out where he was. "Linda," he said, trying to look contrite. "I'm glad we can finally talk. This whole thing with the apartment has been really stressful. I've been trying to keep things quiet for your sake." "For my sake?" I raised an eyebrow. "You mean for Charlotte's sake, or maybe Kimberly's?" Greg's face went white. He glanced around the massive bonfire area. "What are you talking about?" "The math wasn't mathing, Greg," I said, channeling my calmest, most boring corporate voice. "But Gloria helped me calculate the efficiency metrics. We're using Charlotte to get the Xbox and avoid confrontation with me. You were using Kimberly to pay for expensive tech and probably cover some of those Zelle debts to LS. I assume LS is some guy you owed money to for online gambling, TBH. His jaw dropped. "How did you?" Gloria observed. I interrupted. "She observes everything. And she told me the most efficient way to get you to sign the lease release is to threaten the one thing you care about, your image." I pulled out my phone. I didn't have a lawyer, but I had a plan that was better than a lawyer. "I need you to sign this lease release form," I said, holding up a PDF I'd downloaded and pre-filled. "Right now. If you don't, I'm going to send an email to everyone in your contact list, your mom, your new boss at the car wash, your D&D group, with proof of every single financial manipulation you pulled for the last 2 years, including the receipts showing Charlotte helped you cover your tracks." He panicked. "Wouldn't do that, Linda. You're too nice." "Past Linda was nice," I said, taking a deep breath. "Past Linda was living in a clown car fueled by denial. Current Linda is focused on operational efficiency. Sign the form, Greg." He grabbed the phone, his hands shaking even worse than mine were on Tuesday. He scrawled his signature on the screen, hating every second of it. "There," he spat, handing the phone back. "Happy? Now I want the Xbox back. Charlotte promised me." "Charlotte is no longer relevant," a voice said sharply from behind me. Kimberly Edwards stepped into the firelight. She was still wearing the dark sunglasses, even though the sun had set. Gloria was right behind her, holding a large blender bottle. "Greg," Kimberly stated clinically, "the Series 9 Apple Watch has been deactivated. I have charged Charlotte's account for the cost, but she no longer works here. I suggest you return it to the corporate office by Monday at 9:00 a.m., or I will file a police report regarding theft of corporate property purchased under false pretenses. Loyalty is observed." Greg looked between me, the furious micromanager boss, and the silently intimidating 80-year-old in spandex. He opened his mouth to protest, but nothing came out. He just turned and ran into the woods, like a scared rabbit. Honestly, it was satisfying. "Linda," Kimberly said, turning to me, "I need you to oversee the s'mores bar, and thank you for providing necessary data regarding a personnel issue." "You're welcome, Kimberly," I said, feeling lighter than air. Gloria stepped forward, holding out the blender bottle. "Here, Linda, post-confrontation shake. High in protein, low in emotional stress." I took the shake. It was thick and tasted faintly of bananas and pure vindication. "Gloria," I asked, "why are you helping me? Why are you so involved with all of them?" Gloria smiled, a slow, knowing smile that crinkled the corner of her eyes. "I am the Chief Efficiency Officer, Linda. I run Camp Hemlock. Kimberly may be the corporate face, but I own 51% of this property, which Greg and his friends tried to scam me out of 3 years ago with a bad investment opportunity. I have been observing Greg, and anyone associated with Greg, ever since. Charlotte was simply the most recent inefficient decision." My jaw was on the ground. Gloria Morris, the 80-year-old fitness guru, was secretly the majority owner of Camp Hemlock and was playing 5-dimensional chess to protect her assets from my ex-fiancé. "And the protein shake recipes for Greg?" I asked. "Lies," she snorted. "I was giving him the wrong ratio of carbs to protein, deliberate but subtle sabotage. His performance was declining rapidly." Wow, I love this woman. Update, this morning, Saturday. I'm typing this from my tiny, messy cabin, which suddenly feels like a sanctuary. I woke up and the first thing I did was check my bank account. The lease release Greg signed was immediately notarized by Kimberly. She keeps a notary stamp in her purse. I wish I was joking. I sent the paperwork to the landlord, and I am officially off the lease for apartment 3B freedom. Sweet, sweet financial freedom. Group chat is lit with gossip about Charlotte getting fired and Greg running into the woods. I haven't even had to explain everything yet. The story has taken on a life of its own. Charlotte texted me this morning. "Charlotte, 32F. Look, I screwed up, Linda. Massively. I was competitive and I was scared of failing, so I started optimizing my opportunities, NGL. I'm sorry I dated Greg and used you. I'm sorry I tried to gaslight you about the Xbox." It was a surprisingly non-competitive apology. I stared at the screen for a full 5 minutes. I felt the determination turning into doubt. Should I forgive her? She was my best friend. I typed out a long, ranting response. Then I deleted it. I took another deep breath. I remembered Gloria's advice, don't allow inefficiency. Linda 39F, I need time, Charlotte. Don't text me again for 3 months. I'm not mad that you're competitive. I'm mad that you targeted my life to win. Focus on yourself. I'm focusing on me. BTW, tell Kimberly she's welcome to the Series 9 watch, but she should consider getting an actual hobby. I hit send. It felt amazing. A week went by where I focused solely on work. Kimberly is still wearing the dark glasses, but she has actually been nice. She gave me a $2 hour raise and told me my logistical planning was marginally acceptable. That's basically a Pulitzer Prize coming from her. Even allowed me to skip wearing the Apple Watch for 2-hour restorative walks, which I assume is her way of saying, don't track my emotional breakdown. I'm starting therapy next week, which I desperately need. I realized I allowed Greg's lying and Charlotte's competition because I was afraid to take up space and be assertive during my transition. I was trying to keep the peace and be easy to love, but I ended up just being easy to use. My little victories are piling up. I changed the Netflix password. I blocked Greg's number. I am learning to power squat, thanks to Gloria. Seriously, that woman is incredible. By Tuesday, I was actually laughing about the whole thing. I saw Kimberly having an extremely intense, corporate conversation with Gloria about the efficient deployment of grief resources. I honestly think they're going to become best friends. I still have bad days. Yesterday, I saw a Honda Civic that looked exactly like Greg's, vintage nightmare, and I got that immediate hot ashamed feeling. But instead of crying, I turned up my music lots of new artists. Definitely Noah Dellin drove to a new cafe. I'm still navigating the complexities of transitioning. The money is tight, and I still have to figure out how to afford that $1,247 rent on my own, but I have a plan now. I'm thinking about starting a side hustle, maybe coordinating events for normal people, not emotional vampires. I looked at the Notes app on my phone, which is where I've been writing these posts, and I realized I haven't just been venting. I've been documenting my own strength. Yesterday, I laughed at a stupid TikTok about people who try to steal your snacks, and I realized I'm gonna be okay. Better than okay, actually. I'm going to be efficient. Final reflection. The math wasn't mathing because I was trying to fit 4 variables, me, Greg, Charlotte, Kimberly, into one simple equation: friendship, love, loyalty. But life isn't algebra, it's statistics. And statistically, when you have 3 toxic people in a room, you need to remove yourself from the study. Gloria's final advice to me: you have spent too much time lifting the dead weight of other people's inadequacy, Linda. Focus on your own growth. And remember, always keep your core tight. I'm doing just that. Core tight, boundaries tighter. Anyway, that's the update. I am free, financially stressed but free, and planning the most gloriously over-the-top non-competitive bonfire bash Camp Hemlock has ever seen. We'll update if anything else insane happens. Hopefully not. TBH, I need a nap.